will be presenting the program of the Third Congress of the Eastern Partnership Culture Congress. I will introduce the speakers and will give the floor to Evhen Nesterovych, who is the press secretary of the Third Eastern Partnership. We have Maria Artemiuk from Transculture Foundation, Lublin, Poland. Oksana Forostyna, Congress Introductory Panel Moderator. Olesya Ostrovska-Lyuta, co-manager and moderator of Cultural Policy and Cultural Economy Panel. And on Skype, we will have Ilya Kenigshtein, co-manager and moderator of Cultural Policy and Cultural Economy Panel. Evgenia, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank you for being interested in the Third Eastern Partnership Congress, and I would like to thank our partners, UCMC, because it is very important for us. Even though this is happening in Lviv in September, it is important for us to present it in Kiev, because we believe this is national and international event, and I will talk about the goal of the Congress. After the revolution, people started talking very actively about the culture, and they were saying that this is so important. And people were saying if we had good cultural policy, then we wouldn't have any war. We were talking about culture differently, either in patriotic mode or with disregard when it was about distribution of the budget. And this opinion makes the culture very disregarding, but basically this is the idea which makes us all guilty, all people of culture. We believe that the Congress is to prove that the culture is important in the sense of influence on other important issues. The Cultural Congress, which will take place in Lviv on the 4th and 6th of September, is not just the cultural project, but is also the political project. We believe that the culture can be the driver of reforms as well. The Congress is taking place in Ukraine, and that is important because we will start talking about ourselves from the point of view of us being the subject. It is important to mention that because the first two were held not on the territory of Ukraine, and this one will take place on the territory of Ukraine. The people of culture have influence at the intellectual, emotional level, and you could see it in the last 2 years how the public opinion was influenced by our writers, directors and artists in the West. And so we believe that we have an opportunity to show Ukraine to the guests who will arrive from Europe. We invited many different specialists, and that is one of the goals of the Congress, to demonstrate how powerful intellectually the contemporary Ukraine is. Also, we want to get together cultural activists from different places of Ukraine. We organized the open competition. We received 50 applications, and 30 projects will be exhibited in the Congress. At the Congress, these are 2 villages and 28 cities. These are different projects, the projects which will present the art and the architecture and other things. and the people of culture can really create a very efficient cultural lobby in Ukraine. We want to believe it, and we would like to get them introduced to each other during the Congress. The structure of the Congress is such: intellectual discussions which will take place in Lviv National University. That's the main location. From the 4th to the 6th of September, 5 panels will take place simultaneously. We will be recording it all. We'll be trying to put most of that online so that you can follow the Congress. And there will be master classes organized. There will be practical meetings in Lviv Palace of Arts. We will exhibit some presentations from the cities, the presentations of social, cultural initiatives, and there will be 3 discussions on Saturday, Sunday. One of them will be discussion on regional cultural strategies. I believe this will be very interesting. We will also have the artistic program, which will include different projects which accompany the Congress. We will have some musical projects. There will be a Q scene where we invite very interesting musical projects. Ilka Preze performance will be presented by UCMC. Also, there will be the program presented by the Festival of Tolerance. There will be movies shown. There will be different exhibitions, installation, which arrived from Poland. And there will be many interesting artistic things. Which will allow us to discuss arts in crisis situation. Now I will give the floor to Maria Artemiuk, who will tell us how the Congress started in Lublin and why we decided to move the Congress to Ukraine this year.
Good afternoon. As it's everybody's knowledge, the Eastern Partnership is a program of the European Union, which was initiated by Poland and Sweden back in 2009. In 2011, we held the first Congress of Eastern Partnership of Lublin. That was the event implemented within the framework of the Polish presidency in the European Union. And we actually, Lublin became the venue of this Congress because our history of cooperation with the Eastern Europe by that day already had been very rich, and we thought that we should come up with some event which would create the space for the intellectual talk about cooperation between the Eastern and Western Europe. That was the first Congress of Eastern Partnership in Lublin. Had a very clear objective to come up with the recommendations for the European Union, specifically for the European Commission, regarding the cooperation between the cultural organizations and cultural cooperation between Western and Eastern European countries, and to set up some kind of a lobby in order to introduce some changes, certain changes. After following that first Congress, we came to understand that it was really difficult and not the way we believed it could be done, That's why the second Congress of Eastern Partnership was more orientated to the practical aspect of cooperation between different operators of culture. And in those days, we provided more workshops and master class within the program than as compared to the number of the panels or some discussions between the participants. And the result of that second Congress was creating of the cultural network of cooperation, Natasha, which still exists. And then we start to think that the next Congress we wouldn't be able to provide to hold in Lublin because it was, so to say, constituted in its organizational structure, and they had to be moved to some other city in Eastern Europe, in a country which is part of the Eastern Partnership Program. And to us, the fact that this year it is going to be held in Ukraine, well, you know, when we were writing the project of our applications, sent in to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, because they provide the funds for this event every year, we already knew that most likely it's going to be what was going to be Ukraine. Why the city of Lviv? Because we had some experience in cooperating with our partners in Lviv, and we were sure that this was going to be very good cooperation, that we would be able to do that together. Well, I don't know, perhaps you're interested why Poland is interested in holding such Congress on the territory of Ukraine. First off, Poland as a country which also went through a certain road in the process of transformations, it can share its experience with Ukraine. And second of all, the support given to the democratic process taking place in Ukraine now. To me personally, this Congress, which we are going to hold together with Ukraine in Lviv, this is a cultural mission which we actually feel have a special feeling in Poland. Actually, Congress is a result of the cooperation of many institutions. Even the declaration about holding a Congress was signed by 6 participants: the Artistic Association Ziga, Lviv Municipal Council, General Consulate of the Republic of Poland in Lviv, and Lviv National University, and some others, 6 in all. And we were assisted by different partners, including Information Sphere, the Spidnemovnik, who agreed to become our partner, and also agreed to take care of, because with us, with some TV project. Christina also agreed to become the co-author of this project, and she's been working for at least 2 months, if not more. We were thinking about that, everything has been recorded. I would like to give the floor to her, ask her to talk about this project, what the interest aspects you see in that. Thank you. I was nicely surprised when I came to know that the first national TV channel, which today is going through very serious transformations today, actually undertook those commitments or duties to support the Congress. You know, for me, the cooperation on the part of those people is very nice, I believe. They were effective of that. That's why I agreed to this kind of adventure. Why? Because this is the first experience, TV experience for me. I've never worked at in NTV channels as the host of the year or the author of the program. I tried to have kind of to have a look from inside. I was really pleasantly surprised by striving and the first of all wish to change and its openness for the experiments into such complicated topics, because culture, in particular the topics which we've discussed with the participants of the program, this is not something which you're thinking first of all when we are talking about prime time on TV, some kind of very high ranking programs. The challenge we faced was to actually to take care of the rather very complicated or complex topics for the panel discussion, which require some rather big intellectual efforts for the, let's say, for the large audience of the first channel to translate it into the TV language. By the way, Olesya Ostrovska-Lyuta in one of those episodes participates in one of the episodes, and I do appreciate for the talk which we had before the camera and actually and without that. And this is kind of unification of the media or TV specifics and artistic specifics. And I would like to take this opportunity to make an announcement. This TV program will be on the air on September the 1st at 8 p.m. In their talk with the participants, 5 in all, you can view later on in YouTube. Also, would like you to announce the participants who took part in this. I already mentioned Olesya Ostrovska-Lyuta. Also, there was Vladimir Yermolenko, a philosopher and the head of European programs interviews. Also, we had an interview with Elena Stashka, professor at Nesterovych University, and which is located and who actually resides mostly in Vinnytsia. She's the leader of the Kriketka, or the Small Baby Ensemble, and Yuri Makarov. We would appreciate your feedback about the TV project and the YouTube program, because we are interested not only in the sense of the third Congress or the TV channel. We would like to continue on this kind of efforts or events. We are going to dedicate the special topic, the cooperation between our cooperation with artistic associations. Maybe we can think about some ways of cooperation which would be beneficial to both parties involved. Another panel which we expect most, our expectations are associated with, we are talking about the panel Cultural Policy and Economy of Culture. One of the discussions will be moderated by Olesya Ostrovska-Lyuta, which is dedicated to the cultural policy. Now you have floor, Olesya, to talk more about that. Thank you. I would like to thank you for finding some time to come here. A few words about some more specific things inside the Congress proper, specifically about the panel discussion, which I'm going to be a moderator of. But before doing that, I would like to come back to the topic of the Congress, the mission of culture in the time of crisis, since this topic is a starting point for any kind of discussions or contemplation, including the panel discussion. Actually, this issue, the issue which is raised by the Congress, it seems to be very important to Ukraine, maybe more important than to other countries. In other words, how to view the culture in the times of unprecedented, that leads to our new history crisis. What culture has to become to us? Previously, we visualized culture as something recreational or decorative. When we're talking about culture, we use the terms. For example, if you mention that society is man, is a person, they ask me to slow down. If you mention that society is a person and that society is living through a crisis, we can, to some extent, use the metaphor of a patient. Speaking about culture and the patient, which is the society, in other words, you and myself, so we can take care of haircut after we treat the patient. Haircut was always like culture. Culture was something which was not mandatory or absolutely necessary in the previous talks. So our Congress raised this issue whether culture remains to be something recreational or decorative, or culture can be somewhat different. My hypothesis as a moderator is as follows: culture must become something different. we have to treat it not as a haircut, but at least as, let's say, the psychic state of a patient, which is important, something which is important. I do not support this kind of victimization that the artistic figures are not guilty. Maybe nobody is guilty, but everybody is guilty to some extent. This is a kind of ambivalent situation. So we find ourselves in a situation when the scale of the crisis forces us to look at all the resources and possibilities, opportunities available to take us ourselves by hair from the swamp, from the marsh. There's a lack of confidence or trust in society, a lack of us as a labor force from point of view intellectual development or educational, our incapability to resolve the problems we face, and etc., etc., those problems we face today. So the question is whether culture can do anything for that, to resolve one of those problems, or it should remain something which can be used later. I think that culture can be a tool, not only a tool. It must be a factor using which we can resolve or address those problems. But culture could be a very efficient tool for development. For example, when we start to prioritize cultural practices in one group of society, confront with some others, let's say, group of society. For example, we should use those practices which are used in the eastern Ukraine and not by for example, central Western Ukraine. So culture must be something different. This will be a kind of skeleton of the discussion, which actually I started to talk a few minutes ago. Participants in that discussion with him. So the way Levan Khartishvili, if nothing changes, Levan Khartishvili is Deputy Minister of Culture of Georgia, Andrzej Chistov, the State Secretary on the issues of culture, Minister of Culture of Moldova, and Yuri Ruban, who is the head of the Department of Humanitarian Policy of Presidential Administration. We'll try to talk about cultural policy, and cultural policy are some kind of guidelines for actions, which is the basis for the decisions on which we base ourselves when making this or another decision. We'll try to talk how cultural policy take in consideration all the factors described by me a few minutes ago, where we are moving at the level of the city, of the region, or district, how it is being done in other countries, and how to describe it in a simple way. Cultural policy and some guidelines, instructions which we are using could be described in one sentence. For example, intensify, enhance cultural diversity could be the core of the cultural policy, or we preserve the artistic practices and management approaches. This also can be a cultural policy. Usually they say that the cultural policy is something which we acknowledge, but sometimes it's not the case. We could have the system of decisions without the analysis of the basis for those decisions. So all those issues we are going to discuss during our roundtable, and I hope that we'll be able to find maybe something new, but I do not really believe in new knowledge. Rather, maybe better formulated, consolidated knowledge. And I hope that this panel discussion will help us to better understand the city or the place occupied by us as a country, in the city of Lviv, and the region of the Eastern Partnership as well. Thank you. Thank you. And the second part of this panel, which Olesya started to talk about, is the part associated with the economy. An important discussion within the framework of this panel, the discussion about innovation and culture, how could let's say, interact high-tech spheres with the cultural spheres, and how beneficial it could be. Ilya Kenigshtein, I will talk about this panel. We are going to have a Skype communication with him. He is now in Lviv, and he's a person coming from the cultural sphere, why he's interested to participate in this Congress of Eastern Partnership. Welcome to everybody. Welcome, Ilya. So you have the floor. Talk about the panel innovation culture, please. Let's put it this way. We'll start with the definitions. What is culture? What is culture per se? Culture is the writing in Wikipedia. This is the later education, bringing up, etc. So this has a number of definitions, different spheres of life of human being. Innovation is the implemented novelty which ensures the quality and development of the product which ensures the right demand on the market, and this is the product of human activities. I would add another thing to that, which is very important, education. On the one hand, we have culture, on the other hand, innovation, and the bridge in that is education in the broad sense of that. This is a product of the formed, let's say, mind and the nature of the personal traits, etc., etc. And if you're talking about innovation culture, innovative culture is knowledge, skills, and experience for the comprehensive implementation and novelties in different spheres of human activities. Innovations like the nuclear power engineering and computer, they're done or invented in order to get a victory in the World War II and later in the Cold War times. And now you're talking about the war which Ukraine is living through. At this stage, you would like to have some stimuli for the country to stimulate our government, and so far we do not see that. When the war is waged, what the major strategy of any government is survival with a minimum losses, human losses, then victory. In order to survive, not only to win a victory, we have to start to think in a different way, use innovative thinking based on cultural foundation, and to further improve the production forces. Ilya, sorry to interrupt you. Please slow down because we have the simultaneous translation. Well, I forget about that. Sorry for that. Development of humankind actually introduced some serious changes, transformation in the system of values and priorities in socio-economic life of the society, where the society's major resource is intellectual capital, intellect, knowledge of man and the new technologies, organization capital, resources, etc. Without serious.
So, if we do not form the innovation mentality in the society, if we do not introduce the new cultural aspects, we will not be able to create the economy with high tech. We need to start thinking differently. We need to become white crows. And the Congress of Culture Congress will unite together such white crows. The Culture Congress is just an event, but I understand, as far as I understand this is first of all something that gives a chance to active people to get together. Another thing I would like to mention, which is called social entrepreneurship. How business can be combined with culture, and what is the connection between business and culture. I believe that one of the very powerful bridges between business and culture is social entrepreneurship. That is a new term. This is entrepreneurial activity directed to address social problems, which is characterized by social impact, this financial sustainability, and entrepreneurial approach. How the social entrepreneur can accumulate resources and develop new solutions which will positively influence the society. If we change something, we do it not to earn, but to change the environment so that it's not just us who are working, but all the others as well. And then, well, I'm trying to implement in Lviv the idea of win-win. And I would like to add one more thing. The win-win and social entrepreneurship, they could be called also the new ecosystem of cultural innovations, which include infrastructure and culture. Infrastructure is created with the support of the state and big business, large business, but the culture is created thanks to the efforts of the entrepreneurs who are trying to learn something new, something innovative. Sooner or later, we will have to think about any growth that has its limits. And if the state is trying to become more developed, we cannot endlessly continue arms race. We need to think about and remember about fundamental things. And the Culture Congress is the indicator that we do not forget it. Thank you, Ilya. I would like to add that the participants of this discussion that Ilya will moderate will be Dmitro Kalita, the director of Intel in Ukraine, Belarus, and Moldova, Mikhail Gnidovsky, who is a specialist on creative industries, and in 2009-2011 was heading the European Museum Forum, and Yaroslav Yustishin, Lviv businessman, one of the co-founders of Dziga in Lviv. And now we are ready to answer your questions. Any questions? Then we will be happy to see you in Lviv. And there's information about the agenda. We're pleased that we explained everything. But again, I would like to say that for us, it is important to get you involved into the Congress, because the Congress will be successful when not just participants start thinking about what is being discussed, but more people start thinking about the issues which are discussed at the Congress, so that the discussions continue after the Congress. We are planning to publish all the texts, and the podcasts will be on our website. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the Culture Congress. Thank you.